Assalamu alaikum. It is Sunday, the 30th of May, 2021, and in our series Call of the Messiah, this is broadcast number 38. And its topic is that 70 Ahmadis published a sworn declaration that Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad never changed his claim from that of a reformer or mujaddid to the claim of being a Nabi or Prophet. These broadcasts are brought to you by the Lahore Ahmadiyya community. And Hazrat Sahib taught us that though people want to bring an old prophet after the Holy Prophet Muhammad, no prophet will now come, whether an old one or a new one. And that his claim is that of being the mujaddid or reformer of the 14th century. He also taught us that Muslims are very keen to call each other kafirs on smallest differences of opinion. But the Holy Prophet has said that if one reciter of the kalima says to another reciter of the kalima, you are not a Muslim, then it is the caller who is a kafir, a heretic. Kufr returns to him. Similarly, many people say that some prophetic revelation like Ayah Rajam and Surah Walayat are missing from the Holy Quran. But Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad taught all prophetic revelation that the angel Gabriel brought to the Holy Prophet Muhammad is with us in the form of the Holy Quran. Similarly, many people believe that some verses of the Holy Quran have been abrogated, cancelled. You can recite them, but you can't act on them. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib taught that no verse of the Holy Quran was ever abrogated or ever shall be abrogated. It's a book of Allah and applicable at all times. In the same way, people think jihad is to take the sword and kill non-Muslims if they don't embrace Islam. This is untrue. On returning from a battle, the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, from the minor jihad, we now return to the major jihad, which is to fight with our own desires, negative desires, anger, jealousy, greed, dishonesty, untruthfulness, and so on. This is the Holy Prophet's definition of jihad. And Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad claimed that he was the reformer who came to institute these reforms amongst the Muslims. Islam was perfect because the Holy Prophet said, God's revelation has come that God has perfected for you your religion. But it is the Muslim misinterpretation and misapplication of Islam that is causing problems. And today, we deal with one such problem. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad said that Jesus, as I mentioned earlier, that the Holy Prophet Jesus has died. And the Jesus or the Messiah referred to in the sayings of the Holy Prophet in the Hadith is not the Messiah that came to the Jews and who is dead, but it is a title used for a Muslim reformer. A group of Ahmadis say that yes, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad believed this until 1901, that he is a mujaddid, a reformer, and not a prophet. But in 1901, he changed his claim and declared that he was a mujaddid. He was not a mujaddid, but a nabi. There are many ways you can answer this. One obvious way is to look at what was the text on his tombstone. This text was put there by Maulana Nuruddin with the unanimous agreement of the whole community. And it said, and it read, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, Rais-e-Qadian, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, landlord of Qadian, Mujaddad Sadjardham, Mujaddad of the 14th century of Hijrah, Masih Maud, Mahdi Mahud, the promised Messiah and Mahdi. The question then arises, if Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib had changed his claim in 1901 to being a prophet, why would Maulana Nuruddin put Mujaddad on the tombstone? But more importantly, why didn't anyone in the whole community point this out? Why didn't they say, sir, don't you remember? Hazrat Sahib changed his claim to prophethood. Not a single person for years and years and years, until we pointed it out and made this point, at which point the tombstone put on the grave by Hazrat Maulana Nuruddin was removed and a new tombstone was put on the grave, which said, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, Rais-e-Qadian, Masih Maud, Mahdi Mahud. Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, landlord of Qadian, the promised Messiah and Mahdi. The words Mujaddad Sajjad, Mujaddad of the 14th century, were removed. Now Qadianis say, well, the original tombstone put on the grave, was just a temporary headstone. And its condition was getting bad. That is why it was changed. Fair enough. But why did you change the text that was on that tombstone? Why didn't you have the same text as Hazrat Maulana Nuruddin, which said Mujaddad of the 14th century? Well, today let us look at it from another angle. And that is that if Hazrat Sahib changed his claim from being a Mujaddid to being a prophet, then that was a huge change, a momentous change. How many people of the community noticed this? In 1915, some members who had come over to Lahore, they issued a sworn declaration. In fact, 70 members. So I want to share that declaration. It is in Urdu, so I will show you the original and I will translate it as I go along. So if you just give me 1 minute, well, less than a minute really, a few seconds. This is on page 131 of Mujaddad-e-Azam, which is the biography of Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Ali Sahib Rahmatullah Alayh. And perhaps I should have scanned the page 130 as well, but there we are. But it carries on to say from here, as has already been explained, after that, it was attributed to the promised Messiah that in 1901, he changed his claim, or he changed the definition of prophethood. And in this way, as it were, all his writings before 1901 were declared abrogated. And then from that prophethood, they established their own khilafah. This is such a dangerous allegation that Maulana Muhammad Ali Rahmatullah Alayh and other elders of the Jamaat immediately challenged it. Whatever was written about this is not the place for its repetition. We'll talk about it further on and show how Maulana Muhammad Ali repeatedly challenged Mian Mahmud Ahmad on this. But Mian Mahmud Ahmad never dared. To confront Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Ali. Here we print the scan of that sworn declaration, which was issued by 70 elders of the Jamaat in 1950. And it was that they all took the bayt before 1901 and they swear that neither in 1891 Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad claimed prophethood, nor in 1901 did he change his claim to being a prophet. And here you see the scan of the actual writing. It starts off, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala Rasulil Kareem. We, the undersigned, declare under oath that when Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib of Qadian in 1891 declared that from the Holy Quran, death of Jesus is established, and that the Ahmadis which speak of the coming of the son of Mary in the Ummah of Muhammad, I am that person, that he did not lay claim to prophethood. It is true that some scholars misled people, and because of it said that he, that is Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib, was a claimant to prophethood, and gave a fatwa, a decree of heresy against Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib. After that, Hazrat Sahib clearly declared many times, as is evidenced by his writings, that to attribute the declaration of prophethood to him is a fabrication, and that he considered prophethood to have ended on the Holy Prophet Muhammad, and that he considers anyone who claims prophethood after the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, to be a liar and a heretic. And the word which has occurred sometimes in Mirza Sahib's revelations, such as Mursal or Rasul or Nabi, or in the Hadith, the expression for the coming Messiah, which uses the word Nabi, they all do not mean a real Nabi, but used as a metaphor or partial or shadow, another term for which is muhaddis. And after the last of the prophets, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, no prophet can come, whether it is a new prophet or an old one. And we state under oath that we took the oath of allegiance, the Ba'ath, on the hand of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib alayhi salam, before 1901. And what Mian Mahmud Ahmad Sahib and his group, the Qadiani group, what they have written, that at the beginning Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad did not claim prophethood, but in November 1901 he changed his claim and became a claimant to prophethood, and that Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad's denials of prophethood over a decade are abrogated. This is wrong. This is against facts. We swear by Allah that we never imagined such a thing, that in 1901 the promised Messiah changed his claim, or that his previous denials of prophethood are abrogated. And neither did we, so far as we know, neither did we hear such words from any person until Mian Mahmud Ahmad declared them or announced them. And then we have on that page. There are some people, there were other pages with signatures, but some people wrote down their town and when they took the bath. This is Hafiz Ghulam Rasool, who was from Wazirabad, and he took the bath in 1891. And there is Ghulam Hassan, and he writes down the date of his bath as well. And then it says here, I took the bath in 1890. And the text of this declaration, above declaration, is absolutely correct. Now, the question then arises that after this had happened, what was the Qadiani Jamaat's reaction? They must have done something to refute that. Did they do anything? Maulana Muhammad Ali kept on reminding them. He said to the Qadiani Jamaat that you claim 98% of people are with you. And that shows that you should produce a declaration, a similar declaration refuting this one, signed by 7,000 people at least. And then later on, he said, if you can't find 7,000 people, okay, get 700 people to refute this declaration. But it has to be under oath. So 7,000 didn't come forward, 700 didn't come forward. So Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Ali then made another offer. He said, despite the fact that you say we're only 2% of the Jamaat and you're 98% of the Jamaat, despite that, you couldn't produce 7,000 people, you couldn't produce 700 people. Okay, produce 70 people who say under oath that this declaration is false. Even 70 people, they couldn't find 70 people. Then Maulana Muhammad Ali said, okay, you can't find 70 people. Get 7 people to do it. Silence. And then Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Ali said, okay, you can't find 7 people. Find 1 person. No reply. And then Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Ali Sahib Rahmatullah Alayh made the final challenge. He said, let Mia Mahmud Ahmad himself, just 1 person, the person who invented this false doctrine, just 1 person. He said, let just 1 person declare, and that being Mia Mahmud Ahmad, that I am Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad's son. And I declare on oath on the Holy Quran, and may God punish me severely if I am wrong, that in 1901, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad changed his claim to that of being a claimant to Prophet. Not even Mia Mahmud Ahmad came forward. Isn't that an evidence? Join it to what I said earlier on, that upon Hazrat Sahab's death, Hazrat Maulana Nuruddin had this text placed on Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad's grave. Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, Mujaddad Sajjad, and it remained there for years and years. Doesn't the fact that not a single person from the Qadiani Jamaat came forward to corroborate Mir Mahmud Ahmad under oath, doesn't this show that it was because the whole Jamaat at the time of Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad's passing away believed that he was just a Mujaddid? Nothing more. Qadiani Jamaat tells us that the truth of what they claim doesn't lie in history, it doesn't lie in the Holy Quran, it doesn't lie in the Hadith, it doesn't lie in the writings of Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad. It lies in the fact that they have so many branches and so much money and such a crowd with them. Well, my friends, the answer to that is very simple. Yazid had the whole of the treasury. He ruled over a vast area. He had a huge army. Hazrat Imam Hussain alayhi salam only had about 40 or 50 people on his side. So according to your argument, I guess, Yazid was the one who was right. Because he had money. He had an army. He had a government. Tens of thousands of people followed him. Hazrat Imam Hussain only had a few people, a handful. So, Yazid must have been right. My friends, by making these claims, you are bringing the name of the promised Messiah into disrepute. He was a servant of Islam who never claimed prophethood, who never called those outside his Jamaat kafirs. So I invite you to join the Lahore Ahmadiyya movement. Forsake the wrong things that you've been misled into believing, and seek forgiveness from Allah. He is forgiving, He is merciful. And with that, we come to the end of this broadcast, with the prayer that whoever you are and wherever you may be, may Allah keep all of you safe and sound and free from harm. I take my leave of you. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz. Goodbye.